Good day, CCFM. I am Kate Kwan from Big Eastwood. With me today is our dear senior pastor, Pastor Peter Tanchi, to answer some of our questions. Welcome to Sunday Fast Track. So, Pastor, for our first question, you did mention earlier that God uses ordinary people to be used for His purposes. What kind of characteristics does God look for in potential change makers according to the Bible?
The Bible tells us the key qualifications is the willingness to obey. God uses ordinary people, but He is looking for faithful people. If you look at the story of Gideon, what did you notice? What God asked him to do, he did. First, you put the food on the rock. He did. And then you go and break the idols of your family. He did. So it's called one step at a time obedience.
Part of progressive training
Yes,
too.
yes.
For the second question, when we face opposition or setbacks in what God is asking us to do, how can ordinary people stay faithful or focused on God's purpose for them?
When we make mistake or failure, the Bible formula or God's guidance is very clear. Admit, confess, and move on. Satan is different. He wants to remind you of your failure. He wants to paralyze us with our mistake. Who among us don't make mistakes? We all make mistakes. So the idea is admit it, assume responsibility, don't blame others, confess it before God, and move on.
Oh, thank you, Pastor. And for our last question, how can we draw the line between relying on God and relying on ourselves? And how can we know if we have stopped relying on God and have actually started relying on ourselves?
Very good question. To rely on God does not mean you don't do your part. My philosophy here, based on the Bible, is God tells me, I do what He tells me to do, I do what I can do. What I cannot do, I surrender that to Him. Our problem is we try to be God. We try to do things that only God can do. We try to change people. We try to manipulate events. Frustrating. You don't do that. You do what you can do. And once you do what you can do, you entrust to God what He can do. And God can do everything that you cannot do. So the simple solution is very simple. I do my part, I will let God do His part.
Thank you, Pastor Peter, for answering our questions for today. But before we go, we would like to invite all of the singles to connect with Big Ministry. You can follow us on Facebook or YouTube for more updates. And that's a wrap for our Sunday Fast Track. We'll see you again next time, and God bless.